Alright, so I've changed the batteries. I don't know why the other ones died, because like I said, they really should not be old enough to have died, and certainly not used enough. But that's the situation, so hopefully it'll work for longer than 3 minutes. So yeah, get back to this. I mean, it's also so annoying with batteries dying, because I had the one pair in it that lasted so long. Great. But then this pair literally, that I pulled out of there, literally would have been, like, 2 minutes. Maybe 3. I clearly grab these things, and then it's like at night and... I'm gonna start. If there were a second way up, so I could just stack the skull, hit the button, send it up, and then run up myself. But I have a feeling that it's set up so that if you're doing it with multiple people, then you could have somebody up there who's like, hey, we need new buckets, and somebody could just load it up, send it up to them, and then they could like exchange it out, put in the dirty ones, and then send it back down. Yeah, this is a game that it's meant to be done co-op. I don't have friends though. I kind of wonder if I did have friends, would they tell me, Jim, stop doing this. Nobody watches these videos. You spend all this time, all this effort into making these videos and nobody watches them. Just stop. I wouldn't listen to them. I'd be like, do you watch them? No. Well, why not? Because I don't care. But, friends, why don't you watch them? Actually, no. If you would be my friends, I'd expect to be the least likely to watch the video. Just as far as the whole, you already have a proximity to me. Why would you need to expose yourself to me more when I'm not there? I mean, that is a fair way to look at it. I would think that anyone who does video production like this, it would be kind of similar. Where it's like, yeah, I know we're friends and all, but no, I'm not going to watch the video that you're in that I'm not in because I deal with you enough as it is. Son of a bitch. Did it seriously land straight up? Wow. But I do also feel though that if I had friends, if they would complain about how nobody watches these, I'd be pointing out, well, why don't you play with me? It's like, you could. You're choosing not to. Why not? Because these are good games. It's like, okay, yeah, Alan Wake, that's single player, so you wouldn't be able to do that. But, it's like, this is multiplayer. I did Rayman recently. A second Rayman game, Legends, I think it is. It's like, that's multiplayer. We could play together in that. Why didn't you? Why didn't you do that? I would tell them what games I was doing, so it'd be like, hey, you could have. But it also would kind of come down to the whole, I enjoy doing this. So you telling me stop just because nobody is watching, it's like, well, it doesn't matter. I enjoy making. And that is what it boils down to. It's not like, those production houses that do stuff like this, where it's like, well, they're actively, trying to make a living doing it. It's like they need to not do the things that nobody watches. But at the same time, it would be interesting to find out the scheduling for some of those places. Because I do feel like there are some video series where it's like, yeah, may not get many views. And yeah, well, no, it may not get many views, but those that watched it enjoyed it. And if it was fun to make, then it really should just be can you fit in the time to do it anyway? But, I mean, I don't know. It's also weird, though, when it's like, okay, this is part 5, I believe. So if I did Monday through Friday, that means that in one day, basically, I've got a work week of video. So if I can do that, and you're a big production house, why is it that you need all week to get done one video a week? It's like, why can't you do more videos? But it's also, they do other things. I'm not doubting that. It's just, I'm curious what that is. It'd also be interesting to find out what is the situation as far as like videos that they have recorded but decided, what, this is not going to go live. We don't think it's good enough. Which I would just say that personally, I would not do that myself. I would just like have a secondary channel where it's like, these are the fails. These are the videos that, no, we don't think that they're good enough. So they're just gonna go here. Won't be monetized, even if we wanted to, we're not gonna do that because it is just so bad. The funny thing is, I would very much believe that for a number of them, it would still work out alright. That there would still be enough people that would look at it to be a measure of success. Then, of course, this is somebody, me, that measure of success would be like, 10 views on one of his videos. And it, like, 10 full views. Because you can actually, YouTube does give you the statistics how long people spent watching a video, and a lot. Yeah, it's like 2 minutes. Which I think that for like the review playthroughs, that it auto-plays when they load up the review page, and they just go down and pause it, or they only let it go for as long as they're reading the page. I don't know. And I don't feel bad about it. It's like, no, it's YouTube or your browser that everything is set up to autoplay. I don't like autoplay. I will fully admit that. So I've got the browser set to not do that. But it's still a little annoying that it's like, oh yeah, there's like, 100 views. They collectively only saw about 30 seconds. Oh well. I mean, I enjoy doing these videos, the review playthroughs. I see as as a means of giving transparency and for anyone just curious. I'm in that place where it's like, it doesn't need to be successful. Well, it doesn't need to be an economic success for it to be successful. Then, of course, I am a economic failure in many ways, so it's like, yeah, I don't think about making money off of these things, because I just accept it's not gonna happen. I like how I accept whenever I apply for a job, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna get an interview. I'm not gonna get a job offer. It doesn't matter that I literally can do everything asked for. That I have the degree you want, that I have the years of experience you want. It doesn't matter that I can bring all that and more to the table you will not even talk to. Actually, to be honest, I haven't seen a job like that for a while. But that has been my experience. I've applied for QA jobs, software QA jobs. It's like, okay, I have 4 years experience at the time doing this. You want like 2 to 5, which is also weird because like this is an entry-level position, but you're asking for 2 to 5 years experience doing this work. That kind of makes it not entry-level, because you couldn't enter on that. You would have to transition to it from somewhere that you did enter. It's like, I have all this experience, and you don't even want to talk to me. I actually did have the funny idea that no one would listen to it, and I don't think it would be worth my time to invest in trying to do it, especially with the other things I have to do, that I choose to do. But it would be funny to do like a podcast kind of thing, going through job listings and criticizing them. And myself. Like going through one and being like, well, this I have, that I do not have. I do not have, one that actually does come up. SQL experience. I do not have experience with SQL. I don't have any issue admitting that, in part because I also think that if I were in a situation that encouraged me to learn it, I would learn it. It's just, I'm not. And it's also, I do use database software that does work on SQL. Well, a form of SQL. Crap, I can't remember the name of the database software. But I have tried to get things set up in that. And it's like, it is possible, apparently. But it's like the specific software I'm working with doesn't allow it. There's like one thing every now and then that comes up is I want to be able to like have the HTML to have a link with the name being the review and the link being the link to the review. Like have that generated by the database. That is possible with SQL, or at least it is now. I saw that it got an update that would have enabled something like that, but it sounds like that has actually been a feature for a while. I cannot figure out how to get that to work. But the thing is, it might be that no, it wasn't possible before. Or it's just the specific database software I'm working with that it's not possible for. But it's also my use case might be well, yeah, you're not really gonna be able to do it, because my use case is I use the database more to hold information than to process it. So, like, if I were processing this stuff regularly, then it might be oh yeah, this is easy. But because it's well, I need this every now and then, it might be yeah, here's the command that you'd run to do that, but you'd have to do that only when you need to, which means you need to remember the command somewhere. I mean, just may work against me. But yeah, I just still think it would be kind of fun. And oh boy, I could definitely criticize the job list. I have seen some that were so horrible in my life. Oh my god. And in a way, they do need to be criticized. It very, very much feels like, from my outsider point of view, that a lot of HR stuff is basically how do we do the minimum possible to still achieve a goal. It's like, you know, like, let's not interview the person that has the years of experience doing this work. Because, you know, oh, he's been unemployed for a while, so we'll just assume that there is a reason for that, instead of, you know, allowing any kind of inquisitiveness there, any kind of curiosity to find out that, why are you unemployed? Because no one will, because everyone just says, oh, he's unemployed, we don't want to hire him. I mean, that's legit the situation. That is exactly the situation, and it's like, wait, and it would be funny trying to explain that to an HR person who is of the view that, wait, no, if you don't have a job, there's a reason, that's why we don't want you. It's like, no, I don't have a job because somebody like you keeps assuming that there's a reason, but the reason is because people like you won't hire me because no one else has. I mean, it's completely circular logic, but it would be funny to call that out. And also just generally badly written job listings, because they definitely exist, and they hurt everyone. They hurt the people trying to apply, because then it's not clear what the work is, and it hurts the company too. Because if you put out a bad job listing, then why would the good people that recognize, hey, that's not a good job listing, I can do this work, but your presentation here is lousy, why would they want to work for you? Trying to think what would be something of an example. I guess it would kind of work. Imagine a law firm, because it's like, you know, that is, you know, white collar work. So you go to the interview in jeans and a t-shirt. Imagine doing that, but that's the first visual impression you give of yourself to them. They're not going to hire you. At least they're not very likely to. Because that's not a positive impression for that place. That should be you're in a suit, or at least proper business attire. Well, so we're not going to, they wouldn't care. They're not going to give you much consideration. They're going to hold that against you. Well, what do you think somebody looking for a job does when you have a lousy listing? Damn it. And what's going to happen? They're not going to apply. The first application to every job listing is by the employer, not any employee or potential employee. It's by the employer, because they are applying to people, to the public, to have somebody fill the role. So if you don't set a good impression there, you're not going to get as good a result, just like when somebody applies for the position. But it would be funny, I think. I mean, especially since, you know, like LinkedIn sends me, 10 jobs that they're like, oh, we think you'll like these. Just go through that list, some of those. Because there have been some where it's like, no, I don't want to work for this company, I don't want to live in that place, or how do you think I'm qualified for this? Oh, that's bad. I really needed that drink of water, so the heart rate might go wonky. It's like one I saw recently. It's like, I live in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, and there are some places in the country that I would be willing to move to, some I would not. New York would be one. And that's mainly because, you know, certain political decisions are made there, especially recently, where it's like, no, I don't want to be in this city. It doesn't seem safe to me based on, you know, what I would expect. I mean, it's like, I can understand the idea here, but this is such a bad implementation of trying to get that idea to fruition, to reality. And another is I wouldn't want to go and live in, like, San Francisco. For one thing, I don't think I could live there. It's too freaking expensive. But it's like I would always have to criticize LinkedIn. Why don't you let me have this filtered to only be nearby? Like I said, I'm in Northeast Ohio. Indiana, I'd be okay with. Illinois, okay with. Michigan, I'd be okay with. In fact, there was a job I applied for in Michigan not too long ago. I doubt I'll get that. Because that was definitely a job where it's I could do it, but I would have to learn some of the stuff. But a fair amount of it I would be able to do, right away. It was a system administrator job, and it's like I don't have formal experience doing that, but I have experience doing that kind of work. But no, it's fair. It's like I like that company though. It's not too far away. It's like it's a job that I would like to have, so I did apply for it. But it just I know that they wouldn't give me a chance, and that I'm okay with that. I accept that. I knew that when I applied. It's like that would work. Pennsylvania as well. I'm from Wisconsin, and yes, also Wisconsin would work. But it's like, so I mainly think about states to the west of Ohio versus states to the east, like Pennsylvania or south, into like Kentucky and such. Although that, it's just I'm used to like driving through Indiana, Illinois, occasionally Michigan. And not me driving, I don't drive, but I'm more used to that than I am going east. So I don't think about going east so much. Though one of my best friends, is in Pennsylvania. So a little silly that I don't think that, but that I don't think of Pennsylvania. But but anyway, yeah, I think it could be funny, such a podcast kind of thing. But it also would be too much a one-man show, because I don't have friends. I don't have anyone that I would be able to do this with, so why would I bother? So I don't think anyone would be interested in it. It's just me talking. I think it would be boring. I don't think it would connect. And I think it would be too much effort required for, taking that from other things that I do. Like these videos. The reviews, the miscellaneous articles, and so forth. So it's, yeah. It really does seem like the DLC random is not that random. Because I'm fairly confident it has not gone through all of the songs on the playlist. But I'm already, this played earlier today. I know that there's at least one other that played twice. There'd also be one other issue with such a podcast, is if it got any traction, almost undoubtedly there would be people saying, suggesting jobs to apply to, or even people saying specifically, like, hey, I work here, why don't you apply, based on what you've said about your resume and such, like, you should be a fit here. Something like that. What do you do then about the podcast when you do get a job? It's like, it's about being unemployed, trying to find a job. So when you get a job, do you have to stop the podcast? I mean, that's a legitimate question. It really is. Or could you continue because of the criticism aspect too? And I do think that criticism aspect is an important one, that there is in the broad sense, a certain dishonesty to modern HR. And, well, the only way you can address something like that is to try to bring it out. And by a dishonesty, I mean more like an intellectual dishonesty, not like they are actively lying, though I don't doubt that there are some who do. Just in general, there are people who lie. But no, I mean that there's a certain dishonesty in there, because it's like, like I said, I apply for jobs where I have the years of experience that they want, but I don't even get an interview. I don't even get a shot. It's like, well, then what is it that you actually want? Because I can give you everything that you say you want, but you are not giving me a chance to prove that to you, to even talk with you. It's like, that is a kind of dishonesty. And that is what I mean by saying that modern HR is somewhat dishonest. I think that bucket has one. So. I think that's... Also, I don't know who the hell would ever listen to such a podcast. Especially since, as I said, it would be only me. There would be no one else that would be involved with that, I'm sure. The whole I don't have friends situation. Well, no. I was thinking, maybe I should try stacking them in there, but it's like, wait a minute, that's not gonna work. They'll probably not want to be carried that. What? Why are you not burning? What the hell? That has been in there for so long. I haven't been anything but these buckets for like 2 parts. Well, this part and the previous. But it could also be interesting, a podcast, point of view of an chronically employed person on various, especially political events, political items of the day. And also somebody who doesn't have cable, so I'm not exposed to the 24-hour news cycle. Of course, I wasn't really, I could have been exposed to it before, but I mainly didn't watch that much. But one thing I definitely do remember noticing is how some of that news definitely, it's not news, it's entertainment. It's people talking about the news. In some cases, to be humorous. And to be honest, I enjoyed that. Because I got that it was entertainment, and I got that it was meant to be funny. But not everybody gets that. And that does get kind of dangerous. When they think that these people who are joking are trying to actually tell the news. And also, you've got issues today where there are people that it is a comedy show, but they take themselves seriously when trying to provide political commentary with their humor. It's like, the problem is that you don't know what you're talking about. Or you don't know how to properly discuss the news. Because you've not been trained for it, you're not approaching it in an objective, critical way. Things. And that would definitely be true for me as well, if I were to try commenting on it. But it could also, be interesting, because, one thing that I will talk about, I have a degree in math, and I haven't been able to get a job. Well, math, that's the M in STEM. So it's like, from my point of view, STEM, kind of a failure. It's really just a propaganda thing to get more people into school. Not into school, into college. Which, it's not always called for. Bitch, it is still there. You know what? You do. It's disrupting my ability to set these things in there. That's why I just did that. But yeah, I'm just like, I am not anti-college or anything, but I do recognize it is wrong, the idea that, oh, you have to go to college for success. It's like, no, you don't. You really don't. That college is not the gateway to a better future. I've been through it, and notice, haven't had that better future. Also not using so many of the skills I learned there that much. Though the math does come up every now and then. Though it's also funny, because like, I enjoyed the pure math. You know, it's like the algebra kind of stuff. Not the statistics, but most of what I do is statistics. I've never taken a statistics course in my life, and yet I do more of that than anything else. But that algebra kind of learning has been helpful because of the scripting work I do. And a lot of algebraic geometric logic applies there. Applies to scripting. So it's not been a waste. It just where it's applied is different. Which also reminds me of one other thing. That it was funny to see some people comment on that. Which, yeah, getting a little bit here, but it was said that, like, coal miners should just learn to code. That, yes, we should try to destroy your job. We're gonna try to destroy your jobs. They shouldn't exist anymore. So you should just learn to code so that you can, continue a livelihood. It's like, okay, I had a Java class once in college. I never use Java anymore. I used it a little bit then, but not all that much, really. But I've taught myself how to program on Texas Instruments graphing calculators. That's TI Basic, is what that language is called, if I remember correctly. Or at least it used to be. I think they did change it. Well, as in, I had a TI-86. That's what it used. I also have a TI Inspire, and I think at that point they went to a different language, so it wouldn't be called that anymore. It's called something else. But I taught myself that. Taught myself Batch, which you may be thinking, oh, well, Batch isn't that much. It's like, well, you do start getting a little complicated. You can start getting a little complicated with it. And in that case, then it's yeah, you need to learn. It's not simple. It is based on BASIC, but it isn't itself BASIC. R, taught myself. LaTeX, I taught myself. Python, I've taught myself. And I hate Python. I'm sorry, I feel the need to always say I hate Python because it is such a lousy language. There are so many design aspects to it that make no sense. I do not know why anyone would design a language to do this. I also don't know why there are certain things missing. Like, I had to work with lists not that long ago. And it, for whatever reason, they decided, oh yeah, we have a language that can work with lists, but we're not going to have basic functions in there, like union or intersect. Basic list operations, they don't have. In Python, you have to come up with your own solution to it, or find a module to load in to add it. What the hell is wrong with you? Lists are like a basic function for many programming languages. And yet, Python, a new modern one that's supposed to be able to do all this wonderful stuff, doesn't have such basic operations as union and intersect. What the hell's wrong? But anyway, yeah, so it's just the whole, like, I've taught myself all this stuff. And I recognize it's not always that easy. And I recognize that it is something that I have the skills necessary to do what it is that I do, which is not always that much. It's like, I don't doubt that there are definitely people with far, far, far better skills in these languages than me. Hessian. And there's nothing. I don't feel bad. You can say I use these languages for specific purposes, and so when I get that achieved, I'm happy. But it's like to just say that, oh, just learn this. It's like, no, it's not. Not everyone can learn to code, could learn it to a competency level to have a living on it. And it's also kind of insulting to people who were taught how to code, because it's like, no, it wasn't easy for them to get their degrees and such. Just saying that, oh yeah, these people that have never had this, well, you cannot assume have had training before and have any background for this stuff. Oh yeah, they can just learn it and then compete with you for those jobs. It's like, no, that's not how that works. I mean, hell. So there have been some jobs that they do state that having experience with R helps. Okay? And I have experience with R. I'm pretty good with R, I like to think. So you think then that, okay, I'd be qualified for that. Yeah, but you know what I would not be qualified for? A job that, say, calls for C. There are definite similarities in structure, in syntax, between R and C. I'm not that experienced with C, I will admit, but there are certain things that are similar between them from what I have seen of C. Definitely some things that are not similar, no. But like the general overarching format is similar between. It's not with R though. R is its own silly thing. Sorry, it's not with Python. Python is its own silly. And you know something else? Even if I had been taught on C, and there were a job that said it wants C++, I would not be applying for that. C and C++, yes, they are very much related, but C++ is different. C#, again, it's different. And in one of these previous videos, I was talking about Unreal Engine 3 and Unreal Engine 4. Again, obviously, these are related. Unreal Engine 3, Unreal Engine 4, clearly, they're related. You do not take an Unreal Engine 3 engineer and throw them into a job to do Unreal Engine 4 and expect them to hit the ground running. They are very different engine. And you cannot import projects from Unreal Engine 3 directly into 4. You need to convert them. So that idea that, oh, just learn to code, it's like, no, that is not how that works. You are insulting the people that understand that that isn't how it works. You're insulting the people who you're saying just do this because it's like, you're saying that because you want to ruin their livelihood. And it's stupid. So stupid. And it's also, I saw something not that long ago, people talking about should coding, should programming become part of basically a high school curricula. And looking at this, it's like, okay, the argument that I'm seeing for it at times is contradicting itself, or is just making argumentative fallacies. I can never remember what the full list of the fallacies, but there is. If you look up, there's a list. It's like 13 different fallacies, something like that. Straw man argument is one example. So the straw man argument is a fallacy is where you invent a characterization for the opposing argument, and then you knock it down. It's a straw man. It's weak. There's not much to it. Well, it's a fallacy because you invented that straw man. You built it so they would be weak. You're ignoring various things to it. So, the education thing, the higher education thing, the straw man is that somebody with a college degree would be out competing in the workforce someone without, someone who only has a high school degree, high school diploma. Okay, but you're overlooking the fact that, well, what about vocational schools? Because, even if I did get a job immediately, exercising my math degree. There would still be plumbers and carpenters, welders, and so forth that would make well more than I would. That's a vocational school thing. So it's like, and we would not be in competition for jobs, but as far as economic success, they have it. They would have it more than me. So it's like the straw man doesn't work there. Because they technically, well, yes, they would have the certification from the vocational school. I don't fully know how those work, I will be honest. But it's... As far as formal education goes, what they have is, I know I need to stop soon. What they have would be a high school diploma. They wouldn't have a college degree. I mean, it just... I need to stop talking. But yeah, it's just education is a weird thing. And it is... Higher education is not all that needed. In many ways. A lot of it is not... It's done to satisfy reasons that don't really stand to be true anymore. Things like that. And this is, of course, coming from somebody who has a college degree, can't get a job. So, remember that when thinking about anything that I've said, even though I've not finished my points, and I'm also just blathering, because I'm trying to fill the emptiness of sound. See you next time.